everyone, Alpha Soul here, and welcome to another video. Today's video is a little bit of a discussion video. We're going to go ahead and talk about what I think to be Ashes of Creation, the most important thing that Ashes of Creation needs to get right. Now, this was actually spawned from a conversation that I was having within Discord with a bunch of people. We were simply talking about, the things that we thought that Ashes of Creation absolutely needed to get right. And then the question came up, obviously, where we're like, what is the one thing that they have to get right that we think? And I think across the board, people were talking about the node system as being the most important system. The economy was another. Player advancement was another. But I really focused in on the player or the corruption system. In other words, the system that governs how players interact with each other and, of that nature. It's the system that is essentially preventing things from being, a wholesale murder fest within the game world. So that's what I chose, and I chose it for a number of reasons. Within my experience of some past games that have already come out, one of the notions kind of within the MMO community as a whole and among developers is that it's really hard, if not, almost impossible to make a PvP-centric game. Now, I say that with kind of a broad overview because there are many games, obviously, that have PvP as their focus and facet, but really what we're talking about are MMOs, games where, you're set up to conquer other people, essentially. You're set up to constantly fight other people, and you're set up to be in a situation where, your agency or your happiness is directly related or directly affected by other players in this, right? So obviously, it's difficult for, many reasons, and, it's totally understandable why it is difficult, but it's not impossible for it. And if you have the right system around it, that job becomes easier. Looking back at Ultima Online as an example, Ultima Online's karma system was novel. There were a lot of good things about the system, but at the same time, there were a lot of bad things, especially in the beginning. It did not discourage wanton killing, and Ultima Online was known as a murder fest. It was essentially a killer's paradise, and it was one of the reasons why it could not sustain itself over time. So when I think of Ashes of Creation, I really think that the corruption system is walking a fine line. In other words, to get it right, you really have to be razor careful and razor thin, because there are three possible states the way that I see it. In the most ideal state, I see players being able to, go about their life, and you have the occasional murderer here or there. If somebody really makes you upset, you can go ahead, kill them, and, you'll take a penalty, but it won't be so big as to just completely discourage it outright. But there are no mass murderers coming, roaming the areas because of the fact that, there could be a pretty big penalty for it. And not to say that there are no, but there are very few of them because not many people are willing to take that hit. That, to me, is the ideal state. Two in-ideal states, or two states that I would like to see this system avoid, and why I'm really focusing on this corruption system, is the state where, I kind of mentioned it before, that there are a ton of murderers just running around, killing people, killing one another, and the aspect of, having some safety within it is kind of gone. It's null. It's just the wild, wild west. While it's a novel concept, in games, it simply doesn't work like this, because in life it doesn't work. If you're gonna log into the game as a normal player and want to farm up some stuff or anything like that, you don't want to have to need an escort for absolutely every single thing that you do within the game, because there are a swath of murderers out there ready to kill you on sight. Basically, it just becomes a murderer's paradise. The other in ideal state is the opposite way around. I don't think you want it to the point where, rather than anyone attacking each other, it becomes just, for lack of better terms, a Care Bear fest, where, nobody is attacking one another. There's no conflict, there's no fighting, there's, people are running around, and people, on the other hand, are free to, just be asses, because they know that you can't attack and kill them. I think, the aspect of being able to be attacked is, a helpful detriment to behavior. So I think finding that balance is really going to be key for it. And I view that as the most important system because, like I said, players affect other players as far as their agency goes, right? So, if you're logging in, to this game that you love every single day and you're getting murdered on a regular basis, well, why are you going to continue logging in, right? Some people are going to, get better at fighting. That's very true. Some people might, go seek other people, but for the most part, most people are not going to, try and, adjust to it. They're just going to leave. They're not going to play. And as the population kind of goes down, the game will begin to eat itself. So this system to me is really the linchpin holding all others up. I get why people say that the node system might be the most important, obviously because that affects the world as it's traveling up, but the node system to me is still standing on top of that corruption system, because if you don't get that right, it will directly affect the node system. It'll directly affect the economy. It'll directly affect player advancement. It'll affect all aspects of the game if the corruption system is not tuned properly, right? So that's just my general opinion. Obviously, it's just an opinion. It may not be the most important system. It may not be a big deal at all, but that's just the way that I feel. Let me know in the comments what you guys think is the most important system or the most important thing that Ashes of Creation needs to get right. All right, that's pretty much it, guys. AlphaSoul out. Take care.